You've been walking around with this feeling, haven't you? Like something just clicked into place, like you've finally stepped through a door you didn't even know you were looking for. The old frustrations don't sting the same way anymore. The things that used to consume your thoughts have started to feel distant, almost irrelevant, and you're wondering if you're imagining it, if it's real, if it's going to last. Here's what I need you to understand. This isn't random. What you're experiencing right now is the beginning of something most people never get to witness in their own lives. There's a shift happening inside you that goes deeper than mood or circumstance. It's structural. You're not just feeling better about your life. You're becoming someone who operates on a completely different frequency. And once this process fully activates, there's no ceiling to where it can take you. Let me explain what's actually occurring beneath the surface. For years, maybe decades, you've been running on a system that wasn't designed by you. Your motivations, your fears, your definitions of success, they were installed early. Teachers who thought they knew better. A culture that rewards conformity over authenticity. You learned to want what you were supposed to want, chase what you were supposed to chase, fear what you were supposed to fear. And for a long time, it worked well enough. You got by. You achieved things. You kept moving forward. But something was always off, wasn't it? Like wearing shoes that almost fit, close enough to function, uncomfortable enough to never forget they're there. That discomfort was your signal. Your internal guidance system trying to get your attention, trying to tell you that the operating system you were running on had reached its expiration date. Most people ignore that signal their entire lives. They turn up the volume on distractions, bury themselves in work, numb out with whatever's available. But you didn't. Whether consciously or not, you started listening. And that listening created a crack in the old structure. Just a hairline fracture at first, barely noticeable. But cracks have this interesting property. Once they start, they don't stop. They spread. And eventually, the whole structure begins to crumble. That's what's been happening to you. The old framework is collapsing. And I know how that feels. It feels like loss, like everything solid is turning to sand. Your old ambitions seem hollow. Your old relationships feel strained. The future you were building toward looks like someone else's blueprint. And in the middle of all this dissolution, there's fear. What if nothing replaces what's falling away? What if you're not transforming, just disintegrating? But here's the truth you need to anchor into right now. Nature doesn't create vacuums. When something authentic is dying, something more authentic is already being born. You're not falling apart. You're being reorganized at a level so fundamental that your conscious mind can barely track it. Think about what happens to water when it freezes. The molecules don't disappear. They rearrange themselves into an entirely new structure with completely different properties. Liquid becomes solid. Formless becomes geometric. It's the same substance, but it can now do things it couldn't do before. It can bear weight. It can preserve what's placed within it. It can create beauty in patterns that didn't exist in its previous state. That's what's happening to you right now. You're undergoing a phase transition. Same essence, radically different structure. And the life you're about to step into will have capabilities your old life couldn't even imagine. The reason your old interests are fading isn't because you're depressed. It's because they belong to a version of you that was operating from scarcity, from fear, from the need to prove something. That version needed external validation, needed to achieve to feel worthy, needed constant stimulation to avoid the discomfort of stillness. But the version of you that's emerging doesn't need those things anymore. Not because you've given up, but because you've graduated. You've outgrown the rewards that used to motivate you the same way an adult outgrows the need for gold stars on a homework assignment. What's replacing those old drives is something quieter but infinitely more powerful. It's not loud. It doesn't scream or demand. It doesn't create artificial urgency. Instead, it pulls, like a river current beneath the surface, steady and undeniable. you'll find yourself drawn toward things you can't fully explain. Conversations that would have bored you before suddenly feel essential. Ideas that seemed abstract now land with weight. Opportunities you would have dismissed start looking like exactly what you've been searching for. This pull isn't coming from outside you. It's coming from the deepest part of who you actually are, finally getting a clear channel to communicate. For the first time in your life, maybe ever, you're starting to hear your own signal instead of the static of everyone else's expectations. And once you learn to follow that signal, once you start trusting it over the noise, everything accelerates. Because here's what most people don't realize about transformation. It's not linear. It doesn't happen at a steady, predictable pace. It happens in cascades. You spend months feeling like you're wandering in the dark, and then suddenly 6 impossible things align in a single week. The person you were convinced would never call suddenly reaches out. The opportunity you'd given up on materializes from nowhere. The clarity you were forcing refuses to come when you chase it, then downloads completely while you're washing dishes. This is why the emptiness matters. This is why the disinterest serves you. You needed space for the download. You needed silence to hear the signal. You can't receive new information while you're still clutching the old data. Your system has to clear the cache before it can run the new program. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you're being cleared. Every connection that falls away is making room. Every ambition that dies is liberating energy. Every certainty that crumbles is exposing the foundation underneath. The foundation that was always there but got buried under years of should and supposed to and what will people think. You're being stripped down to your actual self. Not the performing self, not the achieving self. Not the version that learned to contort into shapes that earned approval. The self that exists before all that conditioning. The self that knows what it wants without needing to justify it. The self that moves toward what calls it without requiring permission. Most people never meet this self. They live their entire lives in the costume they put on to survive childhood, to fit into school, to land the job, to maintain the relationship. They mistake the costume for their identity. And when something starts tugging at the seams, when the fabric starts to tear, they panic. They rush to repair it, reinforce it, make it last just a little longer. But you can't repair what's meant to come off. You can only delay the inevitable while making yourself miserable in the process. The exhaustion you're feeling isn't from doing too much. It's from trying to be someone you're no longer capable of being. It's like trying to speak a language you've forgotten. You remember the accent, the basic phrases, but the fluency is gone. You can fake it for short bursts, but it drains you completely. Every conversation where you pretend to care about things that don't matter anymore costs you energy you don't have to spare. Every obligation you fulfill out of guilt rather than genuine desire leaves you emptier than before. Every time you force enthusiasm for something that no longer resonates, you betray the truth that's trying to emerge. Your body knows this. That's why you're so tired. Not lazy, not depressed, just unwilling to spend energy on misalignment. Your system has become exquisitely sensitive to what's real and what's performance. It can tell the difference now between what you actually want and what you think you should want. And it's refusing to fuel the performance anymore. This sensitivity is a gift, not a problem. You're developing discernment that most people never access. You can feel the difference between a genuine yes and a people-pleasing yes. You can sense when something is right for you versus right according to external standards. You're learning to trust the quiet knowing over the loud opinions. But this gift comes with a price. The price is loneliness. Not because you're alone, but because you're becoming someone most people won't understand. You're operating from a frequency that doesn't match the common channels anymore. The small talk feels unbearable. The surface-level interactions feel like sandpaper. The conversations that used to satisfy you now feel like eating cardboard. You're not being judgmental. You're not becoming arrogant. You're just done pretending that shallow is deep. You're done acting like noise is music. You're done treating distraction like presence. And once you're done, you can't go back. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you've learned. The only path is forward into the unknown, into the space where new interests will find you, where aligned people will recognize you, where your actual purpose will reveal itself. Not because you figured it out, not because you worked hard enough, or got disciplined enough, or manifested it correctly, but because you finally stopped interfering with what was always trying to happen. You stopped forcing. You stopped performing. You stopped pretending that the old map still worked for the new territory you're entering. And here's what nobody tells you about this transition. On the other side of this emptiness isn't just new interests or better relationships or clearer purpose. On the other side is a version of you that doesn't need life to be anything other than what it is. That doesn't require constant excitement to feel alive. That doesn't mistake peace for boredom or stillness for stagnation. You're not losing interest in everything because nothing matters. You're losing interest in everything that doesn't matter so you can finally see what does. And what does matter can't be found by searching. It finds you the moment you stop running from the emptiness and start listening to what it's trying to tell you. You're standing at the edge of something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. This moment right here, when nothing makes sense and everything feels uncertain. This is the threshold. And the only way through is to stop treating it like something that needs to be fixed or rushed or understood. The life that's about to unfold isn't going to look like anything you planned. It's going to be stranger, more surprising, more aligned than anything your old self could have imagined. Because that old self was designing from limitation, from fear, from the need to control outcomes. But what's emerging now doesn't operate from those places anymore. It operates from trust, from knowing that the emptiness was never punishment. It was preparation. And everything you released wasn't loss. It was liberation. So when people ask what's changed, when they notice something different about you and want to know what happened, you won't have an easy answer. Because what's happening can't be reduced to a strategy or a decision or a single turning point. What's happening is that you finally stopped abandoning yourself to chase horizons that were never real. And in that stopping, in that profound exhale, life remembered what it always wanted to give you. Not someday, right now.